Let's bring the February 26, 2025, a regular board meeting of the Big Bear Area Regional Wastewater Agency into order.
Begin with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of agenda. Motion. I'll move it.
I'll second.
Second. Roll call.
Vice Chair Herrick.
Aye.
Director Russo,
Aye.
Director Segovia,
Aye.
Director Walsh, and Chair Miller.
Aye. Public forum. Public testimony is permitted at this time on the following sections of the agenda: presentation and introduction, information, committee reports, consent calendar, and other matters within the agency subject matter that are not included on the posted agenda. If you're unsure whether your public testimony falls within the subject matter jurisdiction of which agenda item pertains to, please contact the board secretary for the meeting. We've changed this a little bit, and basically that means you have an opportunity to speak on those items that are agendized, that are actually action items on the agenda. And public forum is not the place to raise those issues. Each speaker is allotted a maximum of 3 minutes to address the governing board during this public forum. The total amount of public testimony time on non-agenda items shall be limited to 3 minutes for all speakers. Please note the state law prohibits the agency from taking actions on matters not listed on the posted agenda. For items on the posted agenda, public testimony will be taken by the governing board's deliberation of each item. Each speaker will be allotted a minimum of 5 minutes per item. And again, the governing board requests that public testimony focus specifically on bar of business. The chair by majority vote may waive these time limits and may rule out of order testimony that is unduly repetitious or irrelevant. So please ask that all your testimony tonight either pertain to the specific agenda item or if it's done in a public forum, it has to do with what we have control over, not what another jurisdiction has control over. So do we have anybody wishing to speak tonight?
Daniel?
Well, there's numerous things that people can speak about that can be related, and it's not always your call. Like my brother used to say, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with BS. And that seems to happen a lot. But your water meeting, I mean, what kind of garbage is this? Where you have to do 57 pages for something that could be done in 7 pages. You know, I can't print this out on my print machine. It just takes all the ink when you have full pages of black.
That's not the city's meeting.
You know, it's just full. When you have 5, 10 words on a page, and you guys are proud of that?
That's the city's meeting. That's
What?
the city's.
Well, it's you guys made it. Don't tell me it's the cities. I didn't see Rick make it. And you use the same type of format when you've done other things here. It's just a waste of time and money. And if the city did it, then shame on them. And part of the last meeting I was at, there was a public forum, and you guys talked a lot, but didn't let us say anything afterwards. And I think that's wrong, that if you're gonna bring up a bunch of things, we should be able to talk about it. And then we have our attorneys, BBK, like at the city council, that's using our money to fight us, and they're only protecting the council members, and I'm sure that's the way it is here. to where it protects the city. And it's ridiculous. One example is the contractor's license board, the contractor state license board. That they're abusing beyond belief. But our city attorney is CYA-ing the council and not the people that pay all of you people, especially you, and I think they pay you too, don't they? So I think it's wrong that you're able to use these EK attorneys all the time,
Thank you.
only for you.
I don't have any other cards, but
Okay, item number 5, presentations, introductions, none. Item number 6, committee reports, general manager report.
Yes, so 6A, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things in 6A. Payment and collection agreement. We are beginning to work on the new payment and collection agreement, which expires in June of 2026. This will be the third amendment. And it will just extend the time and the date which the payment agreement continues through. In this case, it will continue through June of 31. As soon as the attorneys have completed the draft, we will be forwarding those on to the respective agencies. The budget workshop has been scheduled for March 4th at 10 a.m. Public comment and meeting conduct policy. The agency council is working on the revisions to the governing board handbook, as some of these guidelines are specified in the handbook. When these are complete, we'll bring it back with updated policies for your consideration. The auditing service proposal requests, the agency received 6 RFPs. The evaluation team will make a recommendation for award of a contract at the March meeting. And that concludes my presentation of 6A. If you have any questions.
Any questions, from board members?
Yes.
The Assembly Bill 259,
Yes,
it was supposed to be ready for the mid-February. Has it?
I don't believe so.
And then with regard to driver's licenses, so those 3 job descriptions no longer require having a driver's license.
that's correct.
The following questions, from board. Moving on to 6B, replenish big bear report.
Yeah, so this is the Replenish Big Bear General Report. The intent of this report is to outline the status of the project, the expenses, regulatory status of agreements, funding and finance updates, grant information, media outreach, and recent meetings. One of the other things I wanted to highlight is that we are, in the report, is that we are starting to work on some of the public outreach to address misinformation. And we believe this will keep the community well informed of the program's progress. Some updates to the website and fact sheets, which will help better explain some of the key components of the project. With that, I'm available for any questions.
Questions, from board members? Then we'll move on to item 6C, force main project report.
Yeah, so we recently advertised the force main project for the most problematic areas. Basically, this is a portion of the main this portion of the main will replace it with some new PVC line. It's about 1,100 feet. We received 3 bids. The lowest, most responsive bidder is Porter's in the amount of $693,500. This is well below the engineer's estimate of $880,000. This is a savings of approximately $186,500. During the installation, we will be conducting additional investigation on the line under the highway. Because of the board has already allocated funding and authorized us to proceed. This is an informational item only. Some of the savings will be allocated to a different project that we'll be presenting later in the meeting. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Any comments, questions for board members? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion. At the appropriate time, there will be no separate discussion of these items. If a detailed discussion is necessary, any governing board will make a request that an item be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. Any board members wish to remove any items? Seeing none, can we have a motion? Move consent calendar. Okay. I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Herrick,
Aye.
Director Russo,
Aye.
Director Segovia,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Miller.
Aye. No items have been removed, so we'll move on to item number 9. Old business is a resolution number 01-2025. Resolution of the governing board of the Big Bear Area Regional Wastewater Agency adopting environmental findings pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act and certifying the Replenish Big Bear program final environmental impact report.
Yes, so this item is back from our August 12th, 2024 meeting for the board's consideration. It is to certify the Replenish Big Bear final environmental impact report and to file the appropriate notices for the Replenish Big Bear program. It does not approve the project for development, nor does it approve the mitigation or monitoring program. This is likely to happen later when the design of the brine pond is complete. Aside from the small modifications to the resolution, there really hasn't been any additions to the PEIR, excuse me. However, the BB&K attorney is here to answer any technical questions that you might have as far as the process. Any additional questions you have about the environmental document, staff is available. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Any questions from board members? And moving on, I guess we'll open this up to public hearing.
Tom,
They don't listen to me anyway, it doesn't do me any good, even though I waste my time. Okay, I agree with this, with your agenda, it's just as bad as the city council's 800 pages. Like anybody's gonna, have all of you read this paper? All of you read every single thing on this, 800 pages? Bullshit. Anyway, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, okay? They know everything. They are not gonna approve a $200 million fraudulent water project. AI and Space Force are tracking every single dime that you are spending and receiving. Every single one of you officials are being tracked as to every single dollar that you spend, and you know it.
Tom, excuse me, Tom, this refers to the
This is about borrowing.
so you need to pull it back to borrow and not.
This is, okay, well, I'm talking about the money that you're getting, okay, well, you can't count on ASID either, because they're not out of control, and you're not gonna get that money either. The CSD, Russo and Walsh, they have been against this from the beginning. They have said no, especially no. They're the only ones that I really could count on to say no to the water waste. Okay, so the CSD says they don't want to pay. Why do they have to pay for your mistakes that you've done? You're the ones that made all these mistakes that they've said no from the beginning. Bullshit. Okay. We have been seeding our clouds from the beginning of time for years. We have seeded our clouds for rain and for snow as long as I could remember. In 1970, President Johnson said in the early 70s, control the weather and control the world. We have been controlling our world weather for a long, long time, and you know it. There is not a shortage of water in Big Bear. Our water aquifer here has been here for hundreds and hundreds of years, and you're going to destroy all of the water that we drink up in the mountains. You're going to destroy every single well and everything well that's made if you start pumping crap water into our water.
Okay, where am I now? Choosing 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's 3. I'm really quick, and I know I did 5 minutes. Okay, control the infrastructure, or after, this is after control the weather and control the world, control all the infrastructures and control all the people and mankind. Keep all of us for slaves for the rest of our lives, to the banking, to the world banking system, and to borrow it. Borrow wastewater project is not about 2 to 4 inches of water, of potable water. It is about, at 4 feet of water evaporates every year, so you're telling me you're gonna spend $200 million for 2 to 4 inches of water? That's bullshit, you know it. Borrow is all about governmental control and the sales of toxic reverse osmosis filters, which is a $2 billion a year business. And it just, what's it for? Why? For toxic waste. We have all the water in the world underneath us. All they have to do is drill a well. Anyway, what's the money for? What? To fill everybody's pockets, all the greedy people? It's just a matter of time. All fraudulent projects will be stopped by the Department of Government Efficiency. Dodge to the rescue. Go Elon, go Trump. Tom Sitton, a VIP, very concerned constituent. And everything I said before, dig that out and read all that, because that's all true too. Thank you.
Any other speakers?
Sandy,
I just want to make sure that I understand the process. I don't know if you can answer my question, I just say what I think, but I think if I understand correctly, even though you're approving the EIR, when in the drawing pause, information goes back to be finally designed, then we'll have another opportunity there'll be an updated EIR or whichever version you call that, and then we'll have another opportunity to do comments and give feedback on that writing part.
Yeah, that is correct.
That's all I want to make sure. Thank you very much.
Judy,
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm going to try to come to every meeting of this BARWA. I'm a Big Bear City resident, and I'm strongly against Replenish Big Bear. And I was so disappointed when I read this on the Grizzly. New hope for Replenish Big Bear. I thought last summer this place was packed with people saying, if you're so, we don't want it. We can't afford it. It's too much money. If we want to keep going with it, take it, put it on a ballot. And I'm going to come and I'm going to say every time, we can't afford this. No matter how good it is, we cannot afford it. And I'm begging you, just say no. Thank you.
Bring the card up, isn't it? Replenish is just another California boondoggle. You don't know how much it's gonna cost. You don't even know what equipment you're gonna use. You don't know nothing about forever toxins. And now you're telling there's just a radon right here in the dry lake, right next to us. Just like the train to nowhere, the state of California spent 17 years on it. And it's spent billions and billions of dollars. It doesn't even have track laid down. So is that how this is going to be? Just another California mandate boondoggle? We had one listed last week at Big Bear Lake about if your stove went out and it was gas, you'd have to change it to electric. If your heater went out, you'd have to change it to electric. And boy, we saw our council people stand up and fight that one because they knew they'd get their ass kicked out of council if they passed something like that. It's just insane. It's as insane as battery powered dump trucks. Garbage trucks. It's insane as battery powered fire trucks. They've made buses that the businesses are just completely gone because it was just nothing but boondoggles. So I see nothing but stupidity from the state of California. And maybe you should, instead of spending so much on the lawyers, to fight some of this. You know, if you can fight about the heater, the water heaters and the regular heaters, because there'd be a disaster. And then the next day in the paper, there's gonna be a 22% from BBES. The electric company, they're gonna raise it 22%. So do you know how much that would cost? I paid $800 last month for my electric bill. So what's it gonna go up to 1,000? You know, where's it gonna end? And they're still gonna be charging for the gas. I mean, nobody wants to go out of business, even though I wish some would. So I suggest you think about it, because all this is gonna do is cause a fiasco. It's gonna raise our property taxes. It's gonna raise our billing. And it's not gonna work. It's just an ongoing project, just like a lot of projects that we do at the city of Big Bear that are like projects they can't even figure out easy projects on a flat trail without doing things and violating the contractor's board. Just do whatever you want, and our BBK lawyer will back it. Oh yeah, it's okay. You can do up to $35,000, our city manager. You know, he probably can for computers or a new cloud, but not for contract work. Every contract bid is separate. Computers, you can compare and match and get one.
Bring this back to borrow.
That is borrow. This is about money.
Okay.
And you guys want to spend a lot of money. And I'm just talking about the insanity of the state of California. And you need to look at the whole picture, not just one little thing that most of you are for. And I don't know why. Mr. Herrick, have you ever been against anything? Have you ever reviewed any projects that have been screwed up by the city over the last 18 years? I doubt it, because nobody there seems to want to review one thing, no matter how stupid it was. There's no review. It's all cover up. We can take money, we'll cover it up. And that's what they're good for. It's just covering up projects. Thank you.
Gary,
My name is Gary Keller, I'm a Pursuant resident, and I just want to speak against this project also. First of all, living in California, we have all kinds of taxes that we have no control over that are going to be increased. Fire tax, fire insurance is probably hurting a lot of people. Some people have insurance. And the other thing is, I don't think there's enough parcels in this valley to even afford this amount. 2 million at this point. Who knows how high it's gonna, increase to. Reminds me of that bullet train project we're also familiar with, which is not very. But as far as the cost of this project, I think it's a very high cost for the small benefit. No engineers and cost benefit studies, ratios. I'd like to see one, and see what the cost is and compared to the benefit of the project. I know we have some deep aquifers in the valley. If we need 2,000 acre feet of water, I believe, money would be well spent on a fluoride treatment system, remove the fluoride from these new wells that we can't use right now because of state regulations. It might be money better spent. So, I don't want to. Just want to get a record that I'm not for this project. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Includes, political public hearing, and bring it back to the board.
We have one more person.
I'm sorry. What's your-
Sports grant from bigger city. Deal with background, wastewater treatment. I worked with the CS2 for a good number of decades. But I had a couple of questions because I don't know all the aspects of the project. My biggest concern, I was talking to Mr. Lawrence earlier. You're gonna have to, it's my understanding, you're gonna have to take a line from the treatment plant to the lake to supply water to the lake, is that true? And that's gonna be third stage stuff, advanced treated wastewater, is that true? And what's the discharge, POD and suspended solids on that 5 and 5?
Can you help answer this kind of question?
You know, I don't recall there is a, lake objective.
That's gonna be a state,
So we'll have we'll have an MPDS permit.
so right now, your secondary is 30/30, right?
Our secondary is not 30/30, it's an 85% reduction, 85%, 85% reduction of BOD. That's the requirement
So I
of
thought
our
it used to
permit.
be 30 DOD, 30 suspended.
And maybe years ago, but now our permit is an 85% reduction of BOD. I don't recall exactly what that's going to be, but you know, there's a lake objective.
It's probably better than 30/30 is what you're saying.
It's definitely gonna be better than 30/30. Yeah.
I have 5 minutes, is that it, or?
3 minutes left, long time.
A couple of ideas. You're gonna have to build an outfall line from the treatment plant to the lake, that's gonna be really expensive. That's not even started, and you don't have permits for it yet, is that true? You just have the environmental work done?
Right, the environmental work is complete. That's what they're considering tonight is the environmental work.
So all the EIRs and EAs and all have been completed, ready to go.
That's right, for this line.
So if you've got a cost of how many millions of gallons per day you can treat to get to the lake. I know your capabilities right now are not very much. You're treating about 2 million a day, secondary, you're pumping it down to Lucerne.
That's right.
One question, has anyone ever thought of putting turbines on the outfall line to create some electricity?
It has been reviewed.
And that's been studied,
It has.
and is it cost effective?
It is not.
Just a thought. And just so everybody knows, 2 million gallons a day out of this treatment plant. That's 730 million gallons a year. In the last 40 years, that's 29.2 billion gallons that's been pumped down to Lucerne for the farmer down there. Back, I don't know now, maybe 20, 30 years ago, we did have an issue in Big Bear where the water purveyors were saying, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. Does anyone remember that? I know John does. I know Gary does. So was that a made up thing, or was that what, has there been a study on the aquifers, what they're losing and what they're getting injected into? And is there scientific study to justify the money that we're spending.
Well, definitely, I mean, water conservation has been a big thing that DWP and CSD has reviewed.
I would
They-
think these folks, the public would like to know, what are my aquifers, where are they? What is their discharge rate, what is their fill rate? So we all have an idea.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be
This is
something,
a multi-million dollar, hundreds of million dollar project, and we're all gonna have to pay for it.
right? And that would be something that the water purveyors would have that information and be happy to share it with you.
I think you need to share that with the public.
It is part of the what they call a GSP, groundwater sustainability plan.
Maybe what we should do is.
I'll set up something with him.
Set up a meeting with David and go over all this. This has been discussed and,
Okay.
I know it's groundwater sustainability. We
You
reviewed
keep,
this.
because if people are saying and making stuff up, then somebody has to show the other one who's telling the truth and who's not.
Right on. I agree with you.
Also, somebody mentioned something about making rain and all that. Geoengineering is going on. It's been going on since the seventies.
Right.
They can control the weather and just something to think about.
Bring this back to the board, any more?
No.
All right, bring this back to the board, comments and discussion, comments or questions from the board members.
I'd like to say something. I've tried to make it really clear, I know I talked with Judy after the meeting the other night, that, and I talked to Tom, I talked to Dan, that moving forward with what we're moving forward with is not greenlighting the project. It is approving the EIR. We will have an approved EIR that somebody else, just say the project doesn't go through. Somebody else down the road could take that EIR out, dust it off, and, you know, there's an EIR. I'm trying to get it to the design phase. This is what tonight is about, getting it to the design phase. It's a blueprint for the project. So we will know, you know, since I've been sitting here, I've heard $86 million, I've heard $100 million, I've heard $150 million. Now tonight, for the first time, I heard $200 million. It's a blueprint. We will be able to look at the blueprint, the build specs, and know how much this is gonna cost.
Should already know.
We don't necessarily already know, Tom.
I said you should already know before you even start the project.
You can't know. If you're standing on a piece of property and you go, I wanna build this house.
You could get bids, you could get the job bid out completely.
That's what we're gonna do with this design
Hold the contract.
project. So, and again, we will have a blueprint that we could even at a later date update it, change it, find some off-roads if it's too expensive, but I am trying to save the city of Big Bear Lake over $800,000 that they are gonna owe, and that CSD over $800,000 that they are gonna owe, and it would amount to a big fat investment.
And thank you for that. However, when we're gonna spend as much money as we're spending, and it's not voted by everybody in this valley, and it's only decided by 4 or 5 people in the entire world to spend $200,000 or $300,000.
Okay,
It's
Tom,
not gonna
Tom,
stop.
other comments.
And I agree
I
with that. When
apologize, I'm so sorry.
Yes, when I first got on this board, I was really dismayed that it didn't go to a vote of the people, because then we would know.
Vote of the people, and that's what I want to hear, by everybody, not just by the 300 people in Big Bear. The entire valley. has to pay for this.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The project there are still other checks and balances that will happen after EIR gets approved. We wait for the design build. It's not just automatically rubber stamped. So I just please
I
want people to
apologize
be
to everyone.
be factual about that.
I apologize. Okay?
So, thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? I just wanted to clarify, David, that, by moving forward, we'll get reimbursement on the grant.
Yes,
So this is not costing, the agency any money at this point in time.
no, we will be reimbursed.
All right, and then it is a true statement that to move this project forward requires a four-fifths vote of this board to borrow the money. That's correct, moving forward.
That's correct.
So so there's a check and balance in place, after we do the, approve the IR and we go through the design phase. There's still checks and balances in place for the public to have an opportunity to review this again for the board to vote on it.
Yes.
Any comments or questions? We have a motion.
I'd like to move that we adopt resolution number R 2025 and direct staff to schedule a bigger committee meeting and a governing board workshop to review the final design at least 30 days prior to the governing board consideration.
Second,
I'll second it.
discussion on the motion. Seeing none, can I roll call please?
Vice Chair Herrick,
Aye.
Director Russo,
Oh.
Director Segovia,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
No.
and Chair Miller.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item number 9B, introduction first reading of ordinance. A Big Bear Area Regional Wastewater Agency code amending, regarding time limits on public testimony and
Yeah, the January governing board meeting, the governing board instructed staff to adjust the public testimony time limits to 3 minutes for both agenda and non-agenda items and prepare an ordinance for consideration. The governing board may choose to waive the full reading of the ordinance. If approved by a majority vote, the ordinance will be introduced by reading its title only. We recommend to vote to waive the full reading of the proposed ordinance and direct staff to place it on the agenda for consideration and adoption at the March meeting.
board member. The ordinance will be sent to public.
Not at this meeting, this is just the first read and introduction.
So, comments then, the vote is to move this to the second reading, to waive the reading of the ordinance. And to move to, review the next meeting.
Yes.
But it has to be a majority.
That they will have an opportunity at the next meeting.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to move that we vote to waive the full reading of the proposed ordinance for 1/2025. And do we need two motions on this?
No, you just direct staff.
Staff recommendation.
Direct staff to place it on the agenda for consideration and adoption and public hearing on March 26, 2025.
No motion on the floor, go second. I'll second it.
Vice Chair Herrick,
Aye.
Director Russo,
This is just with the, not having to read the whole thing.
yes.
Aye.
Director Segovia,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Miller.
Aye. Item 9C, consideration of Marina trailers.
All right, so Pine Knot Marina is requesting the board reconsider their proposal to store approximately 100 trailers at our LPS station. Their new proposal is to request to store the boat trailers at the bottom of Pond 1. This will eliminate the visual impact the board was previously concerned about. If at some point during the storage ponds were to be required for emergency overflow, the trailers could be removed to a temporary location until the ponds could be emptied and allowed to dry. Mr. Osborne, the general manager for Pine Knot Marina, is in the audience if you have any additional questions. And that will conclude my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Board members. Involved.
One question would be, how long would it take to do that? And if you have somewhere to put them while the area dried out, then why not put them there to begin with? That's all.
Do you want to come up? As far as, the reason why not put them up there again is a visual impact, so it would be temporary, store them on the side until it's usually it's a 1 or 2 day process for us to empty those things back out. And then we'd have probably a couple days for it to dry out and then put the trailers back, so it wouldn't be a long process. That's why we're not suggesting that it would be,
The same storage on site.
yes, on site. As far as the timing to take them out, it's 100 trailers, that gentleman there.
So actually more of a comment that it's a rhetorical question, is the best way to put it. When do we get the most
rains, that we might actually need to use these ponds?
February.
And when would you be storing trailers?
April to October.
So generally, you could generally say that it would not be used for overflow unless there's some unusual emergency.
That's correct.
Because that was my concern. And it makes total sense to me that it's, during the summertime when the trailers are in there, because there are boats in the water, that it can be used this way, we could generate a little extra income for. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Well, my position on this still hasn't changed from when we talked about this months ago. I think it comes down to being a good neighbor. And when we talked about this months ago, I drove around, I looked at the houses that are there and what they already have to put up with and look at. And I do not think storing boats there is being a good neighbor to that neighborhood.
Understood.
But then does this have to go back to the city for public review?
No, it does not. The city manager's already weighed in
Okay,
and he didn't have any issue with this type of use.
but it doesn't, it's not like a project under CEQA or anything like that.
No,
And we do have, new facilities, and I guess we need to open this up for public comment. Thank you.
Let me get this straight, moving 100 trailers to another location, and why is that? Because it's unsightly? And why does the our son get to decide on it and not have a vote in the city of Big Bear Lake? I don't quite understand that. So if you decide here you can move trailers in the city of Big Bear Lake, how about if we move them out here, put them in your front yard here? So I don't quite understand the logistics of this. If you're gonna move them from one unsightly place to another unsightly place, is that right? So I don't quite understand that, and why can't our city manager decide that on his own? Without the city council? Did you guys approve it already? Then no, I think that's BS. You know, how about if we decide something over there, which these guys could, and we'll bring it over to your front yard? So I don't quite understand that process. So anyway, I'll relinquish the rest of my time. Unless I change my mind on the way.
Anybody else that you can think on this item? All right, see now, bring it back to the board members.
Just a comment, and correct me if I'm wrong, the sewer pond that we're talking about is owned by Barlow,
that's correct.
so it wouldn't be a city decision.
It is not.
It's within the city limits. You guys decide all kinds of things in the city limits.
So the city of Big Bear Lake and Marla own parts of that property jointly.
That's correct.
Okay, so it's still in the city of Big Bear Lake. Why wouldn't you guys take that up and vote out, not the city manager that does all that?
Okay, hold on. It seems to me too that we approved a lot of good temporary use permits without ever going through public review, or maybe for construction sites, construction equipment. That goes on a regular basis for that. It goes to the planning commission where you. It was the administrative process of the county.
At the city, in the past, they have approved lots of temporary uses, like very similar to this, and If Pine Knot Marina has to get a temporary use permit, they'll go get one.
Bring it back to board and the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to we accept, you'll be moving forward with negotiation of a contract.
That's correct.
I'll make that motion, but I have one last comment. Take a vote, so right?
A motion. Your second. I'll second the motion.
Just the final comment is that the city uses the other ponds actually for snow storage. In years, we actually have enough snow to store in those areas there. Most of it comes off the sidewalks and ends up in those areas there. Visually, the snow piles can be seen actually from all directions. In those ponds as the snow melts off. So the city does use the ponds during the winter time. I'm not sure if they use up all of them, but I definitely know that they store snow in at least one of those ponds.
Pond two, they use for, storage of snow and other, temporary storage for debris and that kind of stuff. It's used on a constant basis. So that entire area is used for leftover materials, signs and trash cans and old equipment and surplus stuff. So it's constantly used on a regular basis by the city for that kind of use.
I'll say just from my observation, when the snow is being stored there, it's quite an operation that happens. Basically starting at, we'll say 10 p.m. and lasts usually until 6 a.m. The trucks moving back.
It is a fantastic operation.
But you would know.
I would
I've
know.
only observed it from a distance. Okay.
I don't like that, that whole area is slated for development, as we're seeing with the new, water bus facility. It's not there the last time this came forward. We'll have a vision of that. It's just a matter of time before that whole section develops. So we have a first and second discussion on the motion. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Herrick,
Aye.
Director Russo,
No.
Director Segovia,
No,
Director Walsh,
No.
and Chair Miller.
Aye.
Motion does not pass.
All right, new business discussion item on the fiscal variable rate.
So during the January 22nd, governing board meeting, the governing board asked staff to bring back a discussion regarding the structure of the fixed and variable cost rates. So I have a short presentation for you. We want to start with a little background. Operating agreement number 1 included a total annual charge, service charge, and infiltration input charge, and was calculated based on units. The 2011 payment and collection agreement removed the service charge and infiltration input charge, changing the total annual charge to a fixed and variable rate basis, with a variable rate not to exceed 35%. The agreement rates are charged per EDU. The variable rates are charged based on the level. By definition, fixed costs are independent of operations and generally remain the same regardless of output. They do not change with an increase or decrease in flow, and an example is debt service, which is considered 100% fixed. Variable costs can increase or decrease with operations or flows. Fixed costs included in BARWA's fixed rates are listed on this slide. And this is consistent with industry standards. Give a little time to review those. Variable costs included in BARWA's variable rates are included in this slide and also are consistent with industry standards. Unlike operating expenditures, which the categories are either fixed or variable, capital expenditures are considered to be both fixed and variable. Most capital expenditures include rehabilitation or replacement of infrastructure that needs to be ready to operate regardless of flow. A percentage of capital expenditures equal to the total percentage of fixed operating costs is included in the fixed rates. The remaining capital expenditures are included in the variable rates. And I'm open for any questions.
Questions from board members? So this is a direction to staff.
Yeah, there's no vote, so if you wanted to discuss something further, now is the time to do it, or change something before the budget workshop.
So this, is this part of the budget workshop, or can it be part of the budget workshop? How does it work?
Well,
So the fixed and variable costs are included in how we figure our rates.
Right.
And so these items, so it was, we were asked to bring back what items are within each side fixed and variable. And so this is just showing what items are included in those.
yeah, I wouldn't, I wouldn't recommend furthering the discussion. I mean, if you wanted any changes to your fixed or variable items, that would be something I would suggest we do now, because that is going to hinder the process of us moving forward with the budget workshop and budgeting process. So that's why we're bringing it back now as opposed to with the budget itself. It just would get really, really complicated later on to try and move something to variable or those kind of things.
It will affect the budget, so it's better to talk about it beforehand. So then we have accurate numbers for it too.
So Christine, I believe it was the previous meeting, maybe I got my meetings mixed up. We actually had a motion seconded and moved in favor of having this discussion prior to each one of our budget, I'll call it workshops. So this is the effort to do it, so we could expect
Yes.
to see this annually about this time before you move into the budget process.
Yes, we can do that annually.
Okay, and if I understand it, if we change the formula, then it changes basically what we might be then sending the bills to City of Big Bear Lake, CSD, and also the county regarding processes. So there'd be,
It would,
you need a little, this is the reason why it's here as opposed to at the workshop.
yes, because it will change the agencies, each agency's rates.
And our first workshop is next week.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. That was all.
Any comments, questions? We bring this back, no, it's just direction staff.
It's just if the board is happy with the allocation of the fixed and variable. The allocation of those fixed and variable sections, if they're happy with that list of what's included in those. Then we're gonna leave it the way it is and bring it back. Included in the workshop, it'll already be included these fixed and variable pieces.
So this is a response to, board member Walsh's question about how the 35% was allocated.
That's correct.
So we have to, just to move forward, the existing process.
Yes, unless the board wants to change it. You're welcome to change it, but that direction would be great now.
I'll tell you, I guess we have to do that, so let's go ahead, and move on to item 10B.
Okay. And B.
John?
So during the normal operations in January, the oxidation ditch 1, rotor 2 failed. Basically, the shaft itself cracked. And we have received bids for purchasing the materials and will be advertising for the installation. We are requesting the board make an appropriation of $157,300 for the staff replacement parts and the installation, and find the project exempt from CEQA. With that, I'm available for any questions.
How much questions from board members? To open this up to public comment. Any public comment on this item?
But comment on A, the fixed and variable.
That was not an item that was not an action item, so one item number B. Let's see more comments, we'll bring it back to the board, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call please.
Vice Chair Herrick.
Aye.
Director Russo. Director Segovia. Director Walsh. And Chair Miller.
Aye. Item 10C, reallocate $175,000 from the capital budget for the RAS head replacement project.
Yeah, so if you recall, the board appropriated $200,000 to purchase the equipment to install in the main pump building. That's replacing the header itself. The parts have been received. We need to develop some engineering specifications to bid the installation of the parts. This should take a few months to complete. In next year's budget, we will include the funding to bid and install the RAS header. We expect the installation to take about 30 days. However, we also are going to be including a slip line from the main pump building over to the clarifiers. With that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions, comments, from the members? Also, to the general public, anybody wishing to speak on this particular item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Mention,
Make that motion.
I'll second.
I'll second.
No, John, will you second? John second.
Vice Chair Herrick.
Aye.
Director Russo. Director Segovia.
Aye.
Director Walsh. And Chair Miller.
All right, moving on to, item 10D is, governing board reorganization. As you know, we've always kind of gone back and forth between the organizations on each term. It's been historically, whoever is vice chair moves up to chair, and then goes what, city, CSB, and so it's the city's turn to chair. We need first time we show some interest, and also someone need to make some nominations on who will be the next chair for the board.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just to throw a thing out there, Kendi is qualified, or should be chair. I believe so. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize for that.
So there are two city members, and it should be a city member.
There should be city member.
Yeah.
So the next. Yes, so the next obvious choice then would be the city's choice on this, right? It would be, Kitty's the next one up for that. Is that correct?
Well, whoever is nominated.
Or whoever gets nominated. Right, but
It says for 2023 that I was chair. As I recall, that was one meeting.
It was a partial year. Yeah, about 6 months, I think.
But it was John.
Yeah, John Green.
And you took his seat. But fulfilled the CSD's, I'll call it obligation, as chair during that period of time. You just,
I can hear what you're saying.
so during that period of time, John Green had passed away, he was the chairman. And at the time, can't recall who was vice chair.
Yeah,
Jim was vice chair, but we made a decision not to move Jim from vice chair to chair, but actually have a CSD member fulfill the rest of the term, the 6 months of the term. So we made sure we had a CSD member as the chairman during that period of time.
so do we have any nominations from the floor?
I nominate Kendi for chair.
Nomination, have a second to that.
Oh, sorry.
Second, need to take a vote.
Vice Chair Herrick.
Aye.
Director Russo.
Aye.
Director Segovia.
Aye.
Director Walsh.
Aye.
And Chair Miller.
Aye. So then vice chair will then fall to CSD.
that's correct.
Under our,
But you still need a nomination for
so we need a nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Larry Walsh. He said he didn't want to do it first.
That's good.
Yeah, we need to vote on this one, I think.
We can vote on this one first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second it and take a look.
Okay. Vice Chair Herrick,
For simplicity's sake, aye.
Director Russo,
Aye.
Director Segovia,
I,
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Miller.
Moving on to comments and announcements.
I have none.
Go to board member comments.
I would like to congratulate you.
I do have one comment tonight. I attended the city council meeting, on everything water were discussed and we keep coming back around. Well, I think to the importance of this, I think Grizzly did a survey that showed 46% were in favor, 34 not, and then a 20% gap, that weren't aware of it. But by the way, all the public hearings and work I did for the city, just only having 20% not aware of a project actually is a good number. Usually we get a lot higher than people showing up that had not followed it. We've always really struggled with this, and some people tonight have talked about, the craziness of the state of California. So I have, in all the years I've worked in government, I found the state of California not the most forgiving when it comes to passing requirements onto local cities. I mean, they're great at, used to call it the shift in the shaft. I think they pass the rules and then move it down to the cities to enforce, which we've all struggled with over the years. And, I'm a Marvin board member. We're struggling with, electric buses can handle Mountain Road. You guys, CSD struggled with, I guess, I don't know if you ever bought any electric trash trucks, but I think it's on the horizon. State of California doesn't care. They just pass and move it down to us. And I am convinced that it's not an if, it's when, that we're gonna be faced with some kind of a reverse osmosis plan. I don't see there's not any question, but we keep coming back to this issue about the load. And the only way I can see that we can get past that is if Barba moves to become its own CSD. And what I'd like, Dave, is you could possibly at the next meeting, spend a lot of time on it and just, what would that take? For Barba, because if Barba became its own CSD, then we could get this on the 2026 ballot along with elected officials to the Barba board. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can't attest to the time frame that you're saying,
Okay.
because this is 2020, but I don't know how long.
It'll take-
I would have to, talk to the attorneys to find out how long it would take to form a special district. The other part behind it is we would probably have to form a special district first and then go out for a vote to the people for the actual project itself, if that's what the board wanted to do. So again, that would be a whole new set of special district and then elected officials to this board, and then and then having them make the determination that they would like to go out to a vote of the people for those. And, there would be a lot to it.
I'm sure there's a lot of questions. I'm sure the lab will be involved.
Yeah.
And I've worked on projects before similar to this. I just would like to know, that's all.
Okay.
I would like to know what that would take, what it would cost us, how long it would take, and then have a discussion with this board and maybe even with the jurisdictions, with the CSD and the county and the city, and whether that's something they would be interested in.
Okay, and what I'm gonna do is put that out to the attorneys to get that together, that information together, but hopefully we can have it by March. I'm not, if not, definitely the meeting after that. Okay, just want to set the expectations correctly.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
I see no other comments. I'm going to enjoy the between